last class, we wrote a menu-driven Python program to search for an item in the CSV file. Today, let me modify this program to add two more items. One, to modify a record from the CSV file. Two, to delete a record from the CSV file. Let me start with the first modification, modify a record from the CSV file. So in the comment, let me make the change. Option number 4 becomes modify a record from the CSV file. So certainly this will become option number 5. Now in the menu also you can make the change, print option number 4, modify a record from the CSV file. So certainly this will become option number 5. Now in the main function, option number 4 becomes 5. Now I need to add one more. It is C equal to 4. For the time being, let me write pass. Now I am going to write the function for modifying a record from the CSV file. Start with def followed by md colon. Certainly you can write a document string used to modify a record from the CSV file. Step 1, the file must be opened for reading purpose. So maybe I can copy paste this. Right click, copy. So here the file is opened for reading purpose. Now in order to read records from the CSV file, the reader object is there, reader function is there. Now the reader function takes an argument. The file pointer should be passed as an argument. The reader function is present in the CSV module, so it should be called as csv.reader. Reader function returns an answer and the answer is CSV reader object. So now this variable contains all the rows of this file. Each and every row is maintained as a list. Now in order to get each and every row of this object, you can write the code like this: for I in CRO. So for I in CRO means you will get each and every element of the reader object, which is nothing but a row, and row is maintained as a list. Now what we need to do is, here you get the first row or the first list followed by second list and so on. Now for the first list, if the item name equal to the one that you want to modify, so the item name that you want to modify, it should be entered from the keyboard. So maybe you can do like this: item name equals input, enter the name that you, let me continue, that you want to modify. So this variable contains the name of the item whose details you want to modify. For I in CRO means you will get each and every row of this CSV reader object. For the first row, if the item name equal to this one, meaning this is the row to be modified. Anyway, the first row is a heading row, so it will not be equal to I name. Okay, so let me write: if the item name present in this list equal to I name, meaning this is the list to be modified. So how do you get the item name from this list? You can write it as I of 1, because I of 0 contains item code, I of 1 contains item name, I of 2 contains price, I of 3 contains quantity. So if I of 1 equal to I name, meaning this is the row that I want to modify. So the new item name should be entered from the keyboard. Enter the new item name. Okay, now otherwise you don't have to do anything, pass. So now I contains the modified record. Now this should be inserted into another list. So LL equals, initially it is an empty list. Okay, so here I make the modification and after that it is appended into the list. So LL dot append equal to I. So maybe here there is a doubt in this piece of code. Suppose the CSV reader object contains 3 rows. Okay, now you get the first row. Now for the first row, if I of 1 equal to I name, the meaning is first row is the one to be modified, new item name is entered from the keyboard, and for the first row the item name becomes the new name and the first row is appended into this list. So now the list contains the first row and in the first row the item name is modified. Now the second row comes here. For the second row, the item name equal to I name, it will not be correct because the first row is the one to be modified. So control will come to else part, nothing to be done. Now the second row is appended into this list. Now the third row comes here. For the third row, if item name equal to I name, condition will not be correct because first row was the one to be modified. So control will come to else part, pass, we don't have to do anything, and the third row is appended to LL. So now LL contains all the 3 rows of this file. The speciality is the first row is modified, the item name of the first row is modified, the new name entered from the keyboard. Anyway, LL contains all the rows of this file. Now once the use is over, you close the file. Now I am going to write all the rows to this file. Okay, so let me open the file for writing purpose. Maybe I can copy paste this one. For writing purpose, let the file pointer be OFS and it is W. I told you when you open a file for writing purpose in W mode, the existing contents are deleted and the new data will be written to the beginning of the file. So whatever data was there in this file, it is fully deleted, and when you write a data, it will be written to the beginning of the file. Now I told you while writing data, I don't want to leave unnecessarily one line. So the new line character, the default new line character, you should change. So new line equals empty string. Okay, why are you changing the default new line character? Otherwise an extra line will be inserted after each record. Okay, now in order to write data to a CSV file, the writer function is there. Now writer function takes an argument. The file pointer is taken as an argument. Writer function is present in the CSV module, so it should be called as csv.writer. Writer function returns an answer and it can be stored in CSV writer object, CWO variable. So CWO is a CSV writer object. Now all the rows are present in this list of lists. Using CSV writer object, let me write this data to the CSV file. So it can be done like this: CSV writer object dot write rows, because several rows are there, all the rows are there, so all the rows you are writing in one go or in one pass, so you should make use of the function write rows, and here LL must be passed, and once the use is over, you can close the file. Okay, Now you need to call this function from the main function. So choice equal to 4, you can modify a record from the CSV file. So you can call the function md. Now let me use one more item in the menu. In order to remove a CSV file from the hard disk, let me include an option. So print option number 5, remove CSV file from hard disk. The reason why I am including this option is so that I don't have to manually go to the folder and delete the file. Using the program itself, I can delete the file. So certainly this becomes option number 6. In the comment also you can make the modification. Option number 5 is remove a CSV file from hard disk. So this becomes option number 6. Okay, so certainly I should call the function. This becomes option number 6. Now your option number 5 is removing a file from the hard disk, and in order to remove a file from the hard disk, there is a function by the name remove. It is present in the module OS, so it should be called as os.remove. Certainly you need to import that module in the program. So here you can import OS. Now you need to mention the path of the file. So let me copy paste this one. So here you need to mention the path of the file. Now save your file. You can run the program. First let me remove the file. Option number 5. File is removed. Now I can start from the scratch. Option number 1. Enter the item code 10. Enter the item name bread. Enter the price 100. Enter the quantity 1. Let me insert 2 more items. So again option number 1. Enter the item code 20. Enter the item name butter. Enter the price 500. Enter the quantity 2. One more item. Option number 1 for inserting data. Item code 30. Item name jam. Price maybe 200. Quantity 3. Now I can display all the items. Yeah, all the 3 items are displayed. You can see 10, 20 and 30. Now I am going to modify a record from the CSV file. Okay, so let me modify. Let me use option number 4. Enter the name that you want to modify. Suppose I want to modify the details of butter. Okay, so not all the details, just the name. Enter the new item name. So instead of butter, what name do you want to give? Maybe Milma. Okay, it is modified. So you can use option number 2 and see the record. You can see the second record is modified. Instead of butter, it becomes Milma. So this is how you modify a record from a binary file. Let me use option number 6. Let me exit from the program. So for the theory exam, you need to study only this function, and for the practical exam, the complete program menu driven. So this piece of code, please understand properly. Suppose the file contains 3 rows. Now your CSV reader object contains all the 3 rows. Now here the first row appears. Now I of 1 means the item name present in the first row equal to I name, meaning that is the row to be modified. Let me assume that condition is wrong, so control will come to else part, nothing to be done. The first row inserted into LL. So now LL contains the first row of this file. Now second row is taken from the CSV reader object. Variable I contains the second row. I of 1 means the item name present in the second row equal to I name, meaning this is the record to be modified. Let me assume that for the second row the item name equal to I name. Then you can enter the new item name from the keyboard. I of 1 contains the new item name. So for the second row the item name modified, and the modified second row inserted into LL. So now LL contains the modified second row. So now two rows are there in LL, first row and the modified second row. Now the last row, the third row, is taken from CSV reader object. I contains the third row. I of 1 means the item name present in the third row equal to I name. If it is equal, this is the record to be modified. Let me assume that they are not equal, so control comes to else part, nothing to be done. Now the third row inserted into LL. So what does LL contain? It contains first row, the modified second row and the third row. Once the use is over, you can close the file. Now you open the file for writing purpose. So existing contents are deleted. Existing contents are deleted. The new data will be written to the beginning of the file. And what is the meaning of this one? After inserting one row, unnecessarily a line will not be inserted because the new line character is the empty string. Now the CSV writer object is created. Using write rows function, multiple rows can be written in one go or in one pass. So all the 3 rows written to this file, and once the use is over, you close the file. So now the speciality of this file is the second row contains the modified item name.